Welcome back to Simplifying the State, the podcast where we break down politics so you don't have to spend your summer trying to keep up with the 50 world-changing stories that seem to come out every week. As always, I'm Adam Watson.
And I'm Nicholas Perrin.
All right, before we get into it, if you would be so kind as to rate us 5 stars, and please, if you would share this podcast with a friend, because if you like it, they might like it too, as well as making sure to follow us, and then you'll get notified whenever we upload a new episode. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so Nicholas, what do Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino all have in common?
All their first names have the letter A as their second letter.
I guess I didn't realize that until now, but that was not the answer that I was looking for. The answer I was looking for was that they are all senior Justice Department officials. Pam Bondi is the Attorney General, Kash Patel, Director of the FBI, and Dan Bongino, Deputy Director of the FBI. And all of them have been involved in some capacity with the recent controversy with the Trump administration surrounding the Epstein files. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. Less so the content of the files themselves, more so the kind of fallout in MAGA world and kind of what that could mean going forward for the Republican Party and for the Trump administration. So, Nicholas, you want to give us a brief recap of kind of how we got to where we are now?
Yeah, so I don't think I need to give much introduction to Jeffrey Epstein and his crimes, but recently there's been, well, I guess it all started even like 5 years ago when a lot of stuff about Epstein came out, when a lot of people demanded that the Epstein files be released, and like the government at the time, the Trump administration in its first term, said that they would release the files and that there is a list, but nothing really happened until Biden took over. And through his administration as well, not a whole lot happened in terms of it. But Trump, as a campaign promise, agreed to release the Epstein files along with the files related to 9/11 and about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. He has released files related to 9/11 and Kennedy. However, he has not released much in terms of files related to Epstein. There have been a lot of conspiracy theories related to this, some fueled by Trump himself, and that hasn't really helped Trump's case when he's been resisting releasing the files, and he's come under some fire from his own base. But this all really came to a head quite recently when Trump exploded on social media and Truth Social about how there is no list, even though Pam Bondi has said that in an interview, she said she had it on her desk and it was ready to release. And a lot of people, including Trump's main supporter base, who have been very adamant about the Epstein files and how they need to be released, were pretty upset over this and felt that Trump or other people nearby him are working in bad faith, and they're, like I said 2 seconds ago, are not too pleased about all this. And yeah, it's not looking too good for him. So how else could else blow over?
Right. Well, you talked about the kind of backlash that we've seen from Trump's base. There are different buckets, basically, of these people. So the first bucket are the people like Charlie Kirk, those who originally came out against it. But since Trump has kind of been making the rounds to all the MAGA influencers to kind of sweep this whole thing under the rug, he has basically since stopped speaking about the incident. He said that he was going to stop talking about it and that he would, quote, trust his friends in the administration, unquote, after at the Turning Point USA conference, which was a conference for a lot of big names in the modern Republican Party and the modern conservative leadership. There was a lot of time given to people like Laura Ingraham, like Charlie Kirk, like Tucker Carlson, who all spoke about this in length during their sort of talks that they were giving. Then you have the more conspiracy theory based influencers, those like Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson, more so Alex Jones in the conspiracy theory bucket, because that's like his main bread and butter. But he was in a video he made, he was apparent he was like visibly crying, I think, when he was talking about this, and he said that he's very upset with the Trump administration over this. Then you have the bucket of the people who basically said no further action was necessary. This is largely contained to the president's administration, like Pam Bondi, like Kash Patel, like Donald Trump. And then you kind of have a little bit of an in between who are upset about this, but are blaming forces outside of the administration, like your Steve Bannons, your Marjorie Taylor Greens, people like that. But that's kind of what the reaction has been from the different parts of MAGA world. How this could affect him going forward was one of the things that made him appeal to voters was the idea that he was an outsider, that he was not part of the establishment. He was going to, one of the main things that sold him to the voters who aren't really Trump voters, but who are mostly young people, mostly young men, who are feel that the system protects the people within it and that it needs to kind of be taken down, appealed to them and said he was going to be the one to take down the system. He was going to be the one to take down all the corrupt people within it, and that the Epstein list was like one of the quintessential pillars of what was wrong with the system, that he was going to take it down by releasing the files and all that. And so a lot of those people probably feel upset by this. I mean, most of the podcasters, most of the comedians, like Shane Gillis, he really resonates with that group of people who I talked about, the voters who aren't Trump voters, but who voted for him because of his appeal to young men that he did during the 2024 campaign. He seemed to be kind of upset by this based on a joke he made at the ESPYs. I think that's how you say it. But he's very popular amongst that group of voters. Yeah, basically, this whole thing could blow up in his face because he has gone from a like excuse to excuse about this. So first, it was basically nothing is needed. Then there is no list. And then basically it jumped to Obama wrote the list, accused Obama of writing the Epstein files. Obama, James Comey, that the whole thing was made up by President Barack Obama and former FBI Director James Comey and the Biden administration. So, I mean, one of the things I think is also not great for him is that not just the substance of the controversy, but then also how he has handled it. Like I said, with this jumping from excuse to excuse, not really having a concrete reason. But then he has now said that he is going to ask Pam Bondi to release grand jury testimony related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. But he said this is subject only to court approval. Then, he's also kind of been the main reason he is the theory behind the main reason he doesn't want to release the Epstein files is that people think that he is on it. I mean, obviously, there's no way to tell. There is evidence, however, that they did have a close relationship, including a birthday card that was sent to Jeffrey Epstein by Donald Trump. The New York Times wrote a story about that and then also released the card in response. Trump launched a $10 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. I'm not sure if they have $10 billion. And then I'm also not sure where that will go, but, we'll have to see. But, Nicholas, what do you make of all that?
Suffice to say, it's a disaster for the Republican Party, Trump especially. I don't really know what was going through his head when he, lashed out on social media about that. I don't know if he talked with anyone beforehand. You can tell from his social media posts that he writes them himself and doesn't really talk with people on how to put it in a nice way. And that transparency helped him win the 2024 election. But it also at times like this blows up in his face. And yeah, especially with a couple minutes or minute cut out from the footage of the Epstein cell and him saying that he doesn't want the support of people who believe in the quote Epstein hoax. It doesn't seem to be he doesn't seem to be doing too well. at least.
I mean, here's the thing. This whole thing is a firestorm of his own creation because he was the one who was stirring up all of the conspiracy theories and all of the chaos about this topic. I mean, he was the one who was saying there are a bunch of elites on the list, a bunch of Democrats, a bunch of people who opposed him, uh, just a bunch of people in general. And he was the one who was saying, I'm going to release it. I'm going to release it. I'm going to take down the system. But then now he hasn't done it. I mean, if he had just not said anything about it on the campaign trail, I doubt most people would care about it. I mean, there would still be some people, obviously, who care about the list specifically. But I mean, the stirring up of conspiracy theories has kind of morphed into a metaphorical beast that he can no longer control, it seems.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like that, like the conspiracy theories are just like a big part of his campaign strategy. I mean, like just looking at the like debate between him and Harris, I mean, he lied, I don't even know how many times, but a whole heck of a lot. And that's a lot of what he seems to like push forward. Not necessarily lies, but like stretches of the truth. And it's just one of the cases that he might have pushed it too far this time and it didn't work out for him.
Right. Yeah, all right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Simplifying the State. We will be back next week with our next topic. Until then, again, like I said, make sure to follow the podcast on all the platforms so that you get notified whenever we make a new episode. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, as if anything really breaking happens that we feel can't wait till our next episode. We usually post a rapid response kind of video on there, so make sure to subscribe and notify to that. And until the next episode, we'll see you next time.